I want to welcome you to the Bearcat Beat, where each week we talk about Sherman Bearcats athletics. The Bearcat Beat is brought to you by the Sherman Athletic Booster Club. I'm your host, Chris Daly. Sherman Bearcat athletics represent the heart and soul of our community, where champions are made both on the field and in the classroom. Our student athletes embody the Bearcat spirit through dedication, perseverance, and excellence, creating memories and building character that will last a lifetime. Remember, it's better to be a Bearcat. All right, everybody join me in welcoming Coach Alan McDougal, the athletic director of the show. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. So let's talk about before we started rolling, I said, hey, we should go over the State of the Union, but yeah, I guess it's the state of the district as it relates to sports. So give me the top stories right now.
Well, our top stories, we are right in the middle of our district play. Some of us have just started. Some of us are halfway through. Some of us are finishing up. Tennis and cross country are finishing up with their fall season. And it's just been since I jumped on board in the middle of June, I feel like I've been drinking from a fire hose. And it kind of turned down just a little bit once school started. And you can kind of see actually why we're here on the coaching end, to get to see these coaches coach, kids compete, and then trying to figure out what we can do to kind of give ourselves the best chance to be competitive on the athletic field or court, and then make sure that we're providing things that we can control with our coaches and what they give to those student athletes.
Right. So talk to me about what you've discovered about Sherman right now. I mean, obviously it's a relatively new gig for you, but fill me in what you've learned so far.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I've taken away is, man, I am so glad that Dr. O'Neill and Sherman ISD have entrusted me with the challenge of leading our athletic department. I am a born and raised Sherman Bearcat, and it is something that has been really cool for me to see. Just kind of put myself in the shoes of these athletes and see if they're going to get the same experience that I got as I came K through 12 through Sherman ISD probably 30 years ago.
Wow. And what have you seen that's changed since you were a student athlete? What are the big changes?
Well, I just think the people that we're competing against has changed. We have grown probably not quite as rapidly as what some of the suburban schools that we're competing against has. But that is a little bit of different. The demographics of our school have changed a little bit as we've gone through the years, and it's just trying to match this growth with the growth of our athletic department, and just trying to hopefully this thing collides in a really good manner. We've got an unbelievable amount of growth pushing northward towards Sherman. So even the growth that we've seen in the recent years probably pales in comparison to the growth that we're about ready to experience. And I think our district has done a really good job from a facility standpoint preparing for that. Now we're going to have to match that on the athletic end and know as these people have decisions to make on where they go to school and where they send their kids to go be athletes, that we want Sherman to be right in the front center of that decision-making process.
Nice. And I don't remember, did it just happen or is it about to happen where they take that snapshot of your enrollment and you kind of have a feel for what you're going to do with the next realignment?
The snapshot is going to be taking place here in the next few weeks. So it happens in the late, and it hadn't happened yet. It happens mid-fall, right before the realignment. Realignment will be this February. Yeah. And then we'll kind of see where we go. Sherman is pushing towards 6A at some point. I don't know that it happens in this next realignment. It certainly could, but I have a feeling that if I was betting, we would probably stay down one more time. Mm-hmm. And then as the growth continues to come this way, we're going to be preparing ourselves to be a 6A school sooner rather than later.
Wow. And talk about the community itself, how it's changed since, like you said, 30 years ago.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the demographics have changed some. But I'll be honest with you. This is our football coach, Coach Alleman, likes to say this is probably the biggest small town in Texas, and it really is. There's some really unique things. I think it's very it's not commonplace anymore to have a one high school town, especially competing at these upper levels.
Yeah.
So we do have that, and we have a following of people that have been around this community for quite some time. They have seen some great successes. They have seen some times when we're lacking a little bit in that area, and it's just an area that is thriving to be supportive and to do whatever they can do to help us achieve everything that we're out there looking for on an athletic field. We will have no lack of support in our community as we continue trying to get where we want to be.
Definitely. And what about the I guess the enrollment in different sports? Have you seen a trend like across the boards, or are there certain sports that are growing much faster than others?
I think our soccer population is probably growing a little faster than some of our other ones. We've got a Hispanic population in Sherman that has grown over the last few years, and I think our athletics reflects a little bit of that. So we're going to be competing in the big 5A, small 6A at some point competitions. However, currently our athletics is not really being supplied with those types of numbers, but that's not how the snapshot's based. It's based off all the students in your school. So, man, we're trying so hard to create environments that every population that rolls through our halls in Sherman High School wants to be a part of athletics, experience that, and then kind of see what it's like to be a Bearcat on the athletic field.
Yeah, I love that. And talk about that. The how you go about convincing them that, like you mentioned, this is such a rarity to be this large of a school with a one high school, for the district. That's pretty amazing. And if all the kids come out, you will compete at the highest levels.
Sure. I think as I've gone through and just kind of stepped into this role, I've gone to just different colleagues and people that I think a lot of on trying to weigh in on what their experiences were in the same thing. And they said, kind of, if you're going to get good in your athletics, it's probably going to happen one of two ways. And that's either going to be an influx of athletic talent, which that's very, very rare in most communities, or an abundance of numbers. Well, we have a chance to do that. So we've got to strike while the iron's hot, and we've got to try to get as many kids out as we can. So how does that happen? Well, if it happens just when they jump into Sherman High School at the 9th grade, we're probably going to lose that battle. So we've got to create experiences on the community level in our youth leagues. We've got to create experiences at our 2 middle schools that make them want to continue to be in athletics. We've had a certain thrust of our coaches being a little bit more visible down at our middle schools. I know when I was in middle school, and if a football coach or baseball coach ever came down and walked through the cafeteria or walked out on the practice field, we recognized that. And it was one of those things that maybe one day we get to be a part of that. So we've got to do everything we can to make ourselves visible, inviting, and then hope that the successes that we do get to draw upon this year are stories that we can tell. And these guys want to be a part of not only that success, but maybe push it even further.
Yeah, definitely. And I see a lot of schools that will do that. They'll have senior football players or volleyball players go visit the elementaries. And, there's one I just saw recently. They do a story time where they come, once a month or something and go down there and read to the kids. And it really does develop that stuff. What sort of programs like that do y'all have?
Something very similar to what you just described. We had before I came in something called Reading with the Bearcats, in which some of our athletic programs would go to a few of all of our elementary schools, but really we're only able to touch one a week as we went through a semester. We've had a new initiative with our elementaries called Leading the Leader in Me. So we've changed Reading with the Bearcats to Leading with the Bearcats. Nice. We divided those groups up, and we're able to touch 4 or 5 elementary schools every Friday. So when they get off their bus or out of their car, they're going to see a volleyball person, a cheerleader person, a cross country, tennis, band, whatever extracurriculars that we have available on that Friday. they get to see those guys in their letter jacket or uniforms. And man, it was pretty eye opening. I was at Washington Elementary 2 weeks ago. I was at Crutchfield Elementary last week, and man, the smiles you see on those faces and just the sheer emotion of what it means for those high school kids to be there is pretty awesome. And it's probably more valuable for our high school kids to get to see some of that, because I think it's sometimes when we're solely developed on kind of getting what the reaction of the scoreboard says at the end of our competition, we don't think we're doing a whole lot. But man, when you can see someone jump out of their car and have a smile from ear to ear, just on the basis that they got to see you in your uniform, it kind of puts some things in perspective and lets these kids see that this is bigger than what it is, might say, on the scoreboard at the end of a competition.
Yeah, definitely. Well said. And if you could go through the sports that are active right now and tell us how they're doing.
Yeah. Cross country has their district meet next Tuesday, October the 7th. I know Coach Shear does a phenomenal job. He's had some bad luck on some injury fronts in which he's lost some top runners, but had a chance to watch out and watch them compete at different meets. And man, that they're doing everything they can to represent our school well. Our tennis program is in an unbelievably tough district, like all of our sports are currently, and they're wrapping up their team tennis season this week with Lovejoy, which is one of the top teams in the state, along with Walnut Grove. Again, top teams in the state. So competitive and been right in the middle of most of their matches and just kind of come up on the short end. So didn't qualify in the top four, but set up right on the outside looking in. Our volleyball jumps in, finishes up round one through the district schedule with Denison, our arch rival. This Tuesday, we travel over there tomorrow night, and that'll end the first round. And we're just on the outside looking in on the playoff berth. So hopefully we can continue to have some success. I know we've, again, you're battling three of the top 10 teams in the state in your district. It's a little bit challenging. So it's a fight for fourth, and we've held our own with that. And then football, we continue to improve. Still looking for our first win. Hopefully that comes this Friday night as we host Frisco Heritage. But we also at that we have another opportunity to welcome our youth is coming out to Bearcat Stadium to be a part of that game. And then we also get to honor our past with Fred Douglass, the Fred Douglass High School. We get to honor them and their state championship from 1964.
Very cool. Very cool. And what about the fan base across these sports? How active is the fan base in terms of showing up and cheering on the team?
Probably not as active as we want it to be, but I mean, that's a reason why when I had some interaction with you at the beginning of this, we're trying to promote what we do. And if we're surely left on the product, which everyone wants to win and everyone wants to be a part of that, but man, it's got to start somewhere. And I think people perform better when there's more people in the stands to kind of urge those things on. And I'm just hopeful that as we continue to get our message out, that we're trying to build better Bearcats and trying to build better Bearcat athletes, that more people will come out, and hopefully success breeds success. And as we roll into basketball and roll into baseball and softball and roll into golf, that some more of that excitement gets to brew with some of the other sports.
Definitely. And to the parents, maybe there's some parents who are thinking, I don't have time for all these extracurriculars, so they encourage or discourage their kids to go out for athletics. What's your message to them about the importance of how athletics can really point their whole future in the right direction, regardless of scholarships?
And I'm involved with I'm currently the Texas High School Baseball Coaches Association president. We're involved in something with the Texas High School Coaches Association called Educate, Empower, and Play. And it's just a message on the importance of high school athletics and what it means to just the nurturing of an adolescent. So there's a big rise in academies. There's a big rise in online education. And man, boy, you are certainly missing some awesome opportunities that we have here in Sherman if you kind of choose those routes. Not that those aren't going to meet the educational needs that you've got, but man, there's some things with dealing with people, dealing with coaches, fighting through adversity, competing at a level that's pretty tough, having it matter whether you win or lose, being held accountable to be on time, being held accountable to make your grades. It's just, there's so many things part of the public education school process that to me, there is nothing like it. And while you can go do some things in these academy settings, I don't think it creates an environment like we had at the Battle of the Axe in our football stadium. It's not going to be the environment that you're going to see tomorrow night over at Denison when our volleyball teams play. That's just something that only gets created in high school sports. So, I am hopeful that as they hear my voice and just, if they'll just come out and watch that, I think they're going to see how neat an opportunity that is. And yes, we absolutely want to win. We want to beat the tail off the Yellow Jackets tomorrow night. But man, that environment and that opportunity that they get to compete at a very high level with all kinds of people in the stands, to me is going to help make them a better mother or father, going to make them a better worker, going to make them a better student as they proceed through their next area of life. I just wanted to be able to compete at a really high level. And I think public education athletics truly offers that best opportunity.
Boy, I love that. I love that. Couldn't have said that better. And Coach, gosh, I want to thank you so much for taking some time and explaining what's going on there in Sherman, because things are changing, things are improving, and I think we're going to see a lot more W's down the road. But more importantly, we're going to see a lot better adults that we create.
Well, that's what we're after, and I just hope that people will hang with us, hang with our coaches. We got adults that are working their tails off. We've got kids that are working their tails off. And when you come out and watch, please keep that in mind, that everyone's working really hard to deliver the product that everybody wants. And if they'll stick with us, they're going to get that product that they're wanting.
This is just one of the many amazing things that the Booster Club accomplishes throughout the year for all sports. If you're interested in joining the Sherman Athletic Booster Club, or if you want to purchase some merchandise to show your Sherman Bearcat love, you can visit the website at shermanisd.net under the Athletics tab.
Hey Coach, Lone Star Gridiron has been the leader in Coach's Show podcasts for 20 years, and now you can get your own Coach's Show podcast each week during the season as a fundraiser for your booster club. Yes, booster clubs all over are using these podcasts to help their sports programs. You get to share the stories of your program and your kids to a huge audience and make money. We started with just football, but this year have expanded to make them available for all sports. Call 713-269-4620 to find out the details and get your Coach's Show started.